Just Eff It.
Hi, I'm Romy.
Hi, and I'm Carla.
And together we are the
EFFing
Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Monday Madre, Monday motivation. Here we are. Just saying Eff It. Carla, who are we? What are they tuning in for?
We are the Eff It Madres. If you have not been to the podcast, we are a community of moms supporting moms, madres supporting madres through an Eff It moment. We are currently having ours and therefore wanted to create a platform where we could hear other people's so we can ultimately create a community of moms supporting moms through these Eff It moments because we need that support. We need community and we need to push each other. So here we are.
And we need more Eff It moments.
And we need more Eff It moments. Yes, Eff It moments are the jam.
All right. And who are we bringing in? Who is our Monday Madre today?
So her name is Leslie Liu. She actually I met her in a virtual meeting, and it was a virtual meeting, and she just like briefly described what she did was all about, and I was like, she sounds really interesting. I'm gonna reach out to her. So I reached out to her. I told her the premise of the podcast. She wrote back, most definitely, fuck yes. I want to be on the podcast. So
Awesome.
So quickly, her Eff It moment that she sent to me was she wants to share a story about standing in your power and about breaking intergenerational trauma. So that's like kind of a vague description of it. So we'll let her get into more detail of what that is exactly, because I'm very curious to what
I'm
it
curious
means.
too. Yeah. How
Yeah.
she said Eff It with that.
Yeah. She said Eff It. So we're going to bring her on in just a moment. All right, everyone. We have Leslie Liu in the house. Hello, Mama.
Hi, Leslie.
Madre. Hello, Madre. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Representing the Yay area, NorCal.
Yay!
Yeah. All right. All right. So we did a brief summary of your Eff It moment. It sounds very interesting. So we're just going to jump into the questions and hear what it's all about. So our first question to you is, when did you decide to just Eff It and why?
Yeah. So I'm just going to give a little context for the crescendo building up to this fuck it moment. I was due with my second child back in November. And that was the height of Stop Asian Hate in terms of these hate crimes that were happening to seniors and everything. And so I really, really had to go to my mom and say, I really am concerned about your safety. Come live with us.
Okay.
And that was a really hard transition for a woman that's lived in San Francisco for like 30 plus years. But she's like, I'll do it. You've got 2 kids. So a couple months after that, give birth to my daughter, and then COVID really, really takes over our lives. Everybody in my house gets COVID except for me. COVID's like, nah, bitch, you're too busy. You're going to take care of everybody. Like I was like waiting to get it, and like I just didn't get it, but like I just was losing it in terms of like taking care of everybody, feeding everyone, making sure people were rested. And so this moment happened when everybody's kind of on the uptick, but still just like have been in isolation for so long, and things are brewing. My daughter's in the living room, my son, my husband, and my mom and I. And then my daughter's just crying, but it's that kind of cry where you as a mom are like, that's not a normal cry. And so I'm just trying to sort my shit out and figure it out and be like, okay, well, what's really going on here? But she's just crying. And I was like, I just need a moment. I got it. She's congested. She just needs to clear her airway. But I just needed that split second. But my mom just kind of really came in and charged up in front of me. And she said, you need to make her be quiet.
Oof.
Jeez.
And I said, I don't need to make her fucking do anything.
Right.
Right. And it just starts building up. And my husband, who's the peacemaker, is like, y'all need to go upstairs. you need to just take it upstairs away from the kids. The kids are already triggered by this. You can tell in my son's body language, like everyone's just not liking how this is building up. You know, my mom's just like, how disrespectful. You're so rude. You're so ungrateful. You're like the world's most horrible daughter. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm walking up the stairs. And then she's standing and looking down towards me. And I was like, this is my child. Like, I will take care of her however she needs. Like, do not tell me what to do.
Right.
And my mom's like, how dare you speak to me in that way? And I was like, well, then if you have a problem with it, then you can fucking get out.
Right.
You know, like, I let you live here. I've taken care of you my whole life. Like, you could just get out. And then she just starts raging and is just like, you would make me homeless, and just like this big dramatic Korean energy. And I was like, no one's going to stand between me and my kids. Like,
No.
if I have to choose between my kids and you, like, I'm going to choose my kids. And that's when she lost it and lost her ish. And like, all I saw were her nails coming at me. And she, you know, she punched me. She gave me a good right hook in the chin. I was bleeding in my chest.
Oh my God.
Like, all of that rage just came out. And my fuck it moment built up to this, like, I felt like I was teleported to so many moments in my life that weren't even about this moment. But I lost it, and I am a self-defense coach in a trauma-informed self-defense coach. I had to subdue my mom, so I had to extend my arms, and I had to push back, and in the most non-aggressive but aggressive way that I could, like, without actually physically hitting my mom, because I was going to lose it.
Right.
And I was
Jeez.
like, nobody's coming in front of me and my kids. Like, do not hurt me. Do not cross me again, or I will fucking, like, kick you out, and you will have nothing. You will have no interaction with these kids ever again. Period.
Oh my
Well, I
gosh.
mean, this is definitely one of those moments where we've been crossed with like a family member and we've had to make that decision. Is it our child and what we know as a parent, or do we care what a family member, a friend, anybody thinks about how we're doing things? And I think at the end of the day, like you're saying, F it, you're going to do what's best for your kid and what's best for you. Right. Like, this is that, like, fuck this.
Like, fuck this, right? It's all that unprogramming. Like, my entire life has been about being a great daughter, like being excellent at everything, like being the
Right.
good one, because my brother was awful, right? Like, I did everything according to plan, and it still, like, was never enough. And so it was really this fuck it moment of like, fuck these patterns. Like, I need to leave a legacy for my kids, and that's strength and confidence and standing in your power. Like, I'm not going to let you talk to me this way. And this decision, it broke my heart, because I was literally prepared to say, like, disbanding from her means disbanding for the rest of my family. Like, I've
Right.
broken up with family members before, but I'm like, I'm literally cutting lineage if I throw her outside.
You know, that's a really hard thing, is just like when we do cut family. I think we've all been there where we've had to at times, but when we have children, it does then affect them now when we cut people out, and that is a whole new challenge, because without our children, it's like you can cut them out, but it's only affecting you. Now we know if we do that, it's affecting everybody. My next question would be, when you said fuck it at this point, what did you do about it?
I physically fought back. My body and, like, my voice, everything was in alignment. Like, she knew I was business, right? Like, she, instead of playing trauma Olympics and going into this, like, whole, like, let me hurt you on purpose, like, she literally was like, I'm going to call the police. And I was like, go ahead. You want me to call them for you? Like, don't cross me, like,
Mm-hmm.
and she literally was like, I am going to start a YouTube channel and tell everyone, like, any kind of hurtful thing and
Wow.
tactic. And that would kill me before. Like, that just would kill me. But I was like, go ahead. Do you want me to help? Do you want me to help you?
Yeah.
Like, I will, because I'm not playing, like, I'm not playing. And it is that, like, push and pull that happens with mothers. And I just, like, think of Encanto, right? Like, there's a reason why that movie hits, right? It's
Yeah.
like, it's trauma. And I was
Yes.
like, my son is watching. He was at an age where I watched you get assaulted.
Right.
So like I love my mom. I have no animosity towards her actually. Like I humanize her, but that was the fucking moment where I was like, you know what? Like I'm prepared to draw this boundary. And she read that in my body and she stopped pushing and she just like left.
Oh my gosh. And how did that make you feel in that moment? Obviously, you felt rage. And I am very familiar with that feeling when it comes to family. Like for whatever reason, family makes you feel rage.
Yes.
Like nobody else makes you feel that. At least for me, no one else makes me feel that sort of fury other than family because
Yes.
they know how to get under your skin. They know how to push your buttons. And so aside from that feeling, like what other emotions and stuff are going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, aside from fury and like veins pulsating like at my neck, it was liberation.
Yes.
Ah.
I like cried out of release
Mm.
because as I processed it with like a somatic writing coach because I'm working on a memoir, I had this image of me in my higher self seeing the 8-year-old Leslie
Mm.
who was like trapped in a burning building by herself. Like that's the image when I think about my childhood and the struggles in my life. Like I definitely did not feel safe to be authentically me or to be strong. And so I
Mm.
imagine this burning building and like all the flames are engulfing me. And I literally in that moment had this vision of me as a mom going to that girl and saying like, you're not alone, you're enough. Like let's kick this door down.
That's like such a skill, like a tool. I just want to like shout out again is, I've been through like EMDR, and EMDR does exactly that. So with trauma, you go and revisit that inner child who's still trapped in us as adults, as women, as mothers. And we have to sometimes go back and like show love, go back and re-love that child, to say fuck it and just be free as the woman that we are. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I completely connect with what you're saying. And I think it would be powerful for so many more women to actually be able to go in and really find that like little girl in us that still is traumatized, you
Yeah,
know?
it's like trying to think about like what would I say to her? Like I spent all of my life trying to figure out how to appease everyone else and how to be good, but like when I knew that like I had that strength and I think of like a big oak tree with roots
Yeah.
and really say like I'm rooted, like this is my family that I'm creating, this is my destiny, right? Like all of that pain, I really just converted that. And once I released myself,
Yeah.
still rageful and still like in a world of hurt, my mom just beat me up, like I'm bloodied. Like I might get rid of her forever, but after I went through this healing work, I mean, she still is in our lives today. She's a great grandmother. And it's not that I don't love my mom, but after I did this healing work, I could
Hmm.
actually humanize her
Yeah.
and actually say like I love you, like you're flawed, and like it opened up moments for me to just be like, remember when I was my son's age and you actually got assaulted by a white man because you were an Asian woman in the 70s, like being vocal and speaking up, like trying to make the connection to my mom. Like I was his age and I remember that. And she's like, you remember that? And I was like, yes. So, like, let's just white flag this. I know I'm never going to get an apology from you because you're so old school.
Yeah.
Like it's such a half-ass thing, um and a power struggle, but it's really just me leading with love and saying like I love you, and my mom has been through so much trauma, but like all I can control is like the type of person I want to be for my kids.
That resonates so much with me because your mom sounds similar to my mom. Like my mom was the drill sergeant. My mom was like the person who pointed out all the things that I did wrong versus the things that I did right. So it's a hard thing like now with my daughter, like I want to go back to that little me and just give that, but I'm using my daughter as that. I'm going to her every morning and telling her like you are capable and you are worthy, and I make her stand in the mirror and I give make her give herself a high five because I wish that my parents, my mom especially, would have said those words to me because I know now at 40 that I am, but it's taking me up till now, till I'm 40 to know that I am. So this is how we're breaking this trauma by now teaching our children, our daughters, our children to know that they are worth so much.
Yeah, they're worth fighting for. So a lot of times when that inner critic stuff came up, I'm like, okay, well, whose voice are you hearing right now?
Right.
And a lot of times it's like my mother. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to tweak that and be like, no, now we're going to change that. And it's going to be higher self, Leslie talking from here on out. Right. And so in the work that I do, so like after that whole thing with my mom, shortly after that, we lost my mother in law to COVID. And that like sobered everybody up real, real hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a couple weeks after that was my 40th birthday, and it was shitty. It was shitty because like when you think of your 40th birthday, I was like, cool, I'm gonna go karaoke, like I'm gonna do it big for my birthday. But like I had just been in such a world of hurt, and I was real salty. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad everyone's okay. I don't want to be ungrateful, but like I'm salty. It's my 40th birthday. We didn't do jack shit. Right. Like, like I don't feel guilty. Like I deserve to have a party and do all this big stuff. And then the crimes in the Asian community started ramping up, and then the work, then I got called to my higher self because like my mission is to save women's lives. Like
Mm-hmm.
I literally teach women who have been assaulted, who are attacked while with their kids. And
Wow.
so like for me to like step into my power and stand in my power really called me to the work I do in self-defense, which is like, yo, like it's more than just the moves. It's about mindset, it's about vocalizing and
Yeah.
drawing the line in the sand, and it's having your body like kind of align with all of that energy. It's not just that bro energy of like, I'm gonna go hit pads. No, it's like all this work that your show talks about, all these fuck it moments. You
Yeah.
take that energy, and when I help women stand in their power in that way, they get these like 250-pound dudes off of them so fast and so powerfully.
Wow. That is so badass. Can I just say that right now? And I would love to take a class. It's a class that you teach, classes that you teach, right?
I
Are they
teach
classes?
workshops. I do group retreats. I have a full blown out program. So
Ooh,
Carla, we need to do a group retreat. That would be
I
so
that
amazing.
sounds freaking badass. Can you teach me how to hit people in the throat? Because I've always wanted to learn that.
I'll teach you how to do it with a cell phone. I do it with cell phones and stainless steel water bottles.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm signing up.
Yeah, this is something we definitely need to do. I want to just like recap on something you said that is so important before we go into the next question, which was I love that you really are talking about taking away the voices that we are conditioned to listen to and really finding yourself, because it's in those moments, like you said, including Carla and I and every woman who's been on here, every mom who's been on here, it's that moment when you listen to that voice that your whole life can change.
Mhm.
When you shut out that voice you've been hearing your whole life, that's our parents or our family members or whoever has caused any kind of trauma into us and conditioned us. So what a powerful effort moment. Like that moment is exactly, I think, what we're talking about essentially on here all the time. So
All the time in so many different ways, and I
yes.
really appreciate you acknowledging that for me,
Yeah.
because I'm like, damn, it took nearly 40 years for me to like crank up that frequency and that volume, and I literally just heard, go bitch, go. Like go and fight for your ass. Like no one's going to do it and be your savior. Like you need to fight for yourself.
So the relationship you have now with your mom, it's obviously forever changed. I mean, in moments like that, it's really hard to go back to where it was. Um, are you in you're in a decent place now, correct?
Yeah, it's crazy because I wouldn't think so, right? Like it's very Asian to be like, you go your way, I go my way, right? Like we'll just stay strong. We don't show any emotion. But again, like I wanted to break that pattern, right? Like I wanted to be able to say, like it really, because my mom, even if we fight about it, she's like, you're the one that assaulted me.
Of course.
And I'm like, no, no, this is not how it's going down. No, no, no. Right? All this gaslighting and toxicity, it's really just like This is the world of hurt. This is where I'm coming from. I'm not even trying to like go back to that moment. I'm just really saying like, how are we going to work together moving forward? And
Right.
when these things come up, right? Like when things get crunchy, I'm a lot better about explaining to my mom like why I'm feeling a certain way or why I'm feeling triggered, right? And if I can say it in a calm way and one where I don't yell or raise my voice, which is hard because that's how I was raised, right? And when I can say to her like, how does this land for you? That actually really hurt me. It changes the flow.
It's amazing what words can do and how they can heal and how they can connect. I mean, it's just so simple, and yet it's been so complicated for all of us for so many years.
Yeah, for
And
so
it's
many
just
years.
these simple ways of validation and acknowledgement and ownership and like, this is how I feel. This is how you make me feel. Just like little ways, and less attacking and less victimizing and less gaslighting, like you said. But just, I think so many of us are finding that like, we got to change this, because if we don't change this, our children are also not going to know how to communicate. And this cycle continues.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. A word that I had to learn is just like, I surrender.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Amen. A
Yes.
freaking men. That is a common theme.
Yes, it is a common theme.
Yeah. Well, the reason that I asked that question in regards to your relationship with your mom is like now with this new dynamic, like what sort of do you have any fears that come up for you within this new relationship? There's fears after you've made this like mental shift. There's always like this sort of fear of like going back and retreating to being maybe that small person that maybe you felt like you were in the past, and you don't want to be that. So continuing to move forward instead of going back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I definitely know that I have the confidence to not minimize and make myself small again because I don't want to be put in a box. I'll grab a bat, I'll smash it, right? Like I ain't going back there. But what I do know is a legitimate fear of mine of why I didn't throw her stuff. Like I literally was like, I'm gonna throw your stuff on the street, like right now, all the boxes. What my fear was is that if I don't find a path of integration to look at my mom and humanize her and allow her in all her imperfections, that I wouldn't leave room to hear her stories about her life. And for the ever since we fought like that, there was a moment where I did some healing work, and then it was the first time in my life that I did start to ask her about her
Mm-hmm.
immigrant stories. And that's how I knew that I had grown and I had changed. And I was like, I'm actually fearful if I don't ask these things, I won't know. And for myself and my kids. So I started asking her things, even without her permission. Like, I'll just voice record it because I want to document. I don't want to push her away and push her aside and as if she was invisible because I think that's the fear in the Asian community as well, right? Even with all this hate stuff, like I don't want my mom to feel invisible or that she wasn't relevant.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make space for her stories, but they're really, really gut wrenchingly painful to hear.
Leslie, I think that's an important part, though, is that everyone has a story. I mean, that's essentially why we have a platform like this or a space like this, because even our mothers, you know, have their story. And at some point, we can start to look at them like, hey, you were a woman, a little girl who also had a broken little girl that wasn't loved. You turned into a teenager that also had a broken teenager that wasn't loved, became a woman and became a mother, probably completely unprepared and through your journey, and somehow along the way, you fucked me up through it, but you also were fucked up through it. And who is that person? And who is that story? And how do I, as the daughter, now listen and try and honor that you're human, like you said, like humanize you, as opposed to you're this mother on a pedestal and you're supposed to do all these things perfect and right for me, and you failed me. And now I'm going to be angry at you for the rest of my life. Well, that anger only takes over us. So there's something really beautiful and powerful in that effort moment of going like, you surrender it and you acknowledge our mothers as women.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as ratchet and ghetto as my mom can get, like bartender in the tender, like my mom's like literally a gun holding bartender, Like that's who she was. And I remember all of my life just being embarrassed, right? Like my mom's so hood all the time, you know? Like
Listen, my mom's the first to be dancing on a table in a bar and me having to get her home. So
single mom, you know, like my mom was so like ghetto sometimes and loud, but like all the things that embarrass me about her, I can say like, hey, like that's also where I get my power from. I have
Mhm.
no
Yes.
filter,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like I got it from my mama.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, and I can be proud of it, but like there's just so much deeply rooted shame and guilt, and like, you know, she lived through a time where her parents like hung themselves in front of her, right? Like those are the stories. I was sexually assaulted on a trip when she sent me back to the homeland, to Korea, when I was 11,
Oh,
right? Like there's all these like things we don't talk about, like culturally we sweep it under the rug, like don't make waves. So like even to this day, I don't know if I'll tell her what had happened to me, just because like that pain may be too much for her, but
mhm.
it's something and a story that I can tell the world,
Yeah.
and tell my kids, but I don't necessarily um feel like I need to like make my mom feel a certain way that that had
Right.
happened to me, because it's not her fault.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that you would feel this way? Like, I know speaking for myself, I don't know if I'd be able to see my mom in the way that I see her now had I not had a child. I think that it's really only until you have children can you really look at your, I mean, for me, I'm speaking for myself here, but with the nods, I'm seeing that that's obviously true. That
Yeah.
you can finally see your parents as like, oh shit, you went through some shit. Like you went through some shit, and I forgive you. Like
Yeah.
because being a parent isn't easy, and you didn't know what you were doing, and you had no tools. Like my mom and my parents are first generation immigrants as well, Latin, and so from Honduras. And so they had no tools, no communication, no emotional, like no love, like, you know, like there was really nothing that they showed, at least my mom. And so like now being able to have a daughter and be like, oh shit, like I've you had a lot of shit going on, and
Hmm.
I see you.
It's our stories. It's all of our stories. And every human being walking has their story. And it's when we start to, just like you say, find that voice and that power and the alignment and use it for good and use it to give back and figure out what our calling is, you know, through our stories, that I feel like we get to actually conquer that, the pain, the like, you know, being locked in some sort of trauma box. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's like seeing, it's like, hey mom, I see your heart. I see like, I think to your question is really more about one of like, I see the struggle, because
Hmm.
like I struggled, right? Like my first kid was IVF, right? Like we struggled with our fertility for years, and then miraculously my daughter is a result of like natural conception. So
Wow.
like it's in the struggle, and if like my mom didn't like chin check me and beat me up, like I don't think that I would actually understand the depth of her pain.
Mhm.
Not acceptable, the behavior, but
Totally.
just the isolation and what the pandemic did to people.
Yeah.
Like it put us through the ringer. We were all through the ringer. So that only just humanized my mom versus like growing up, single mom, tough as F. Like, you know, like she's just going to make it work for all of us and not show any crack. Right. Like that's where I'm like, you know what? I'm a hot mess mom, and so like my mom's not perfect, like I'm not perfect either, you know, like
Yeah.
I drink wine at the movies, like my kids eat bacon, they don't look like bento boxes, you know, like my lunches don't look like Instagram. I don't take pictures of my kids lunch. It looks you know, like it is what it is.
I don't take pictures of my kids' lunch. I'm dead.
Oh my god.
What advice would you give to any woman in your shoes in this place, you know, similar feeling? Like, what advice would you give to them listening to this, maybe needing to go through this or going through it?
If you are going through it, you get sick and tired of getting sick and tired. So you get tired of eating shit and having sand thrown in your eyes. So you know what I mean? Like you, if you are listening to this and you feel like a human punching bag, you have to think about what voice you're hearing. I think that's the first step.
Mm.
And then start listening to that higher self voice of yours, because it's there, and what you would say to 8-year-old you. And that's how you get your power back. That's how you reclaim your voice. But really, you've got to draw the line in the sand and say, like, I'm worth fighting for.
Yes.
Like, I'm enough. And like, no one's coming to save you. Like, you are it. And being a mom, like, you've got to unleash that lioness, right? Like, I will terrorize all y'all, right? Like, do not cross me. Do not cross any of my kids. Do not like cross Carla's kids, because I will eat you. Do not touch Romy's kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the energy I want to bring, because like tapping into your power does that. That does it for your family, but it also strengthens your community.
Yes.
So like, when you strengthen your frequency like that, then you have a whole community of women who, like, if they came after your kid, it's like, I'd be like, here, take my kid while I go handle this. And like, that's
Yeah.
what we have to do as women. Like, I don't want to compete with women. I don't want to beat them down. Like, I want us to like elevate one another and support one another. And I think that is what love and protection as mothers is just like, be a trailblazer and be a lioness. Period.
You are
Yes.
so speaking to my soul. And I think
Yeah.
to every woman listening, every mother listening, and every madre that we've had on the show, everything that you said is such a kind of a common thing. You've said it so beautifully. And I really am grateful that you came on and shared your story with us, because it's so powerful. And it's really that emotional experience that all of us have to have, which is what you're sharing in order to get to any of these places. So thank you. I definitely want you on the street with me if anyone's ever attacking me. So
Yeah.
We're starting a girl gang. You just don't know it. And when you have an event in LA, we're doing some self-defense stuff for sure.
we definitely will. And you know what? This is like the point where I'd like for you to share, like, where can people come to you? Like right now, where can people sign up with you? Give all your IGs, where, websites, so that people can follow you and reach out to you.
Yeah. So on Instagram, I live there a lot, reclaiming your courage. So hit me up in the DMs for sure. I go live almost every other day on my kimchi slaps. You can go on my website, reclaiming your courage, and really just hit me up. Like, I like to have heart to heart conversations with people. You can see the type of workshops that I do. I do personal safety and community safety workshops, uh, discussions around allyship and stop Asian hate, vocalizing your boundaries. But like, hit me up in the DMs. I'm not a bot. I'm a real person. I have so many people that come to me with stories of like, I don't feel strong. And so like, I'd like to change that and really show people, like, when you really have a structure around self-defense, like, I like kicking and punching pads like anyone, but like, if you don't do this mindset stuff and this vocalization stuff, none of that means anything. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
you have to be like energetically like all those three things, so you can Hadouken everybody. So follow me. I have training videos. I teach virtually. I do everything. I travel. I'm go. Like, I'm speaking globally. I'm very excited that I'm starting to speak globally and have this message around doing global retreats with women on the beach. My vision is for all of us to be screaming on a beach together with baseball bats and boxes, and just smashing boxes and talking to our 8-year-old selves. Like, that's really the vision.
You send us that invite, we will be there. You tell us when you're doing that, we will share that. Well,
Oh my
Leslie, we
God.
definitely want to see you, and we have some plans for some events coming up that we've shared on our Instagram. So when we
Yeah.
throw ours, we would love to have you there.
Yes.
And everybody, go follow Leslie at the Instagram that she said. You can find all her links there. You can DM her. You're going to get everything except for her kids' lunches. So go enjoy.
Thank you
And
both. I just want to say, I've been gal gushing about y'all behind the scenes to everybody, and like sending the podcast to everyone, because like,
Aw.
there are a
oh my
lot of
gosh.
podcasts out there, but like, when I literally tell people y'all are a whole ass vibe,
Oh
it's
my
because like,
gosh.
I
Oh my
see it's not easy doing a podcast, and I'm just going to amplify right now. It's not easy being a woman of color doing a podcast, but like, the way that you two do it in such a heartfelt way,
Oh my gosh.
is just unbelievable. So like I don't care. Like I will go and like jump off a building with your banner and say like watch the damn podcast. Like I hope you two break the internet for
Oh
real.
my
Oh
gosh, you just
my
made
god.
my night. Like I could cry. That
Yeah.
was really, that was really wonderful to hear. And I
Thank
think that,
you.
we struggle through going through our journey of it as we've talked about. And sometimes it's hard to keep that momentum going. But hearing that
Yeah.
right there, Leslie,
Yeah.
thank you. Because it
Yes.
reminds us, we're doing
Mhm.
something that's good that moms like and that we're all able to come together. So thank you for those
Yeah.
words. And
Thank
thank
you
you
so
for
much.
helping promote us. And it's like you said, we're all in this together. There's no
Yes.
competition. This isn't, putting women down. This is a place where we are elevating all of us to that next
Yeah.
level.
We all band together. We could fucking
Yeah.
rule the world. Like,
Yes.
we could
Yes.
fucking rule the world and take all this other shit down if we just band
I
together.
I think it's happening. And based on every woman who's come on here and every story, everyone is like, something is in the air. And it's more of this shit that needs to keep happening so that
Yeah.
we are fucking doing that. So
Yeah. Shit,
Yeah, hit me up.
Leslie, I
I'm
just
there.
might fly to San Francisco for
I
this.
know.
I'm like, you know what? This I
We're
might
gonna throw
do.
some hands. We will throw some hands. We will meditate. We will do all of the above. I guarantee you, it's not like anything you've experienced at the gym.
Oh, I
Well,
bet.
Leslie, you're speaking to two people that throw fucking fist and also meditate. So you're right up our alley because I will throw down and then be like praying, 2 minutes later. So
Yeah.
that's how we
Oh
roll.
my
This is
god.
the end of the episode where we all are going to say, just
Just
F
F
it.
it.